Hello, family. Thank you so much for joining in this week for Wow Wednesdays, your Word of Wisdom Wednesday. I am Dawn with Dawn's Light, and I'm so grateful that you are joining me again today. It's the month of February. We are studying our Black History Month as well as Valentine's Day and getting all into love, right? So I'm going to just be sharing, like I always do, just moments that come to me where I have that wow moment. When I get that clarity or I get that wow, get that challenge, I want to share that with you. And this is one that came to me today. If you've been on my website, you may have noticed a long time ago, one of my final blog posts kind of talked about upcoming, where we're going to be talking about kill, steal, and destroy. That is a scripture reference that I've used a lot. I've heard it used a lot. And often times I've used it when I was going through really, bad situations, when things have happened in my life or when things got hard and I felt discouraged. And even times when I kind of just thought, you know what, this is crazy. Maybe this is just in my head. Maybe I just need to give up and not continue going after this. And then that voice would come, Satan just comes to kill, steal, and destroy. He's trying to take your dream from you. This is what God has for you. And I've heard it used a lot of times like that. And so as I was looking into it and wanting to study it out a little bit more, I got challenged by an article that I found by a gentleman of the name of Tom Terry, who wrote an article about spiritual warfare. And he challenged me to not just look at that or to just use that scripture out of context, which I am guilty of doing. And I know that oftentimes we can, because we become cliche with things, but to actually really focus on the entire chapter and understand what Jesus was really meaning when he spoke those words. So we're going to kind of look at what Tom was talking about and kind of what I've come to understand it. And I'm going to share it and hopefully give you that wow moment as well. So if I were to ask you, and this was a question Tom raised, if I were to ask you, what is it that Satan wants to steal, kill, or destroy in your life, what would you say? Let's be honest, because most of us would probably say things like, oh, he's trying to steal my joy. He wants to kill my dream. He's trying to steal my job or rob me of my family, destroy my faith, take my blessings, right? Something along those lines. That's when I hear it all the time. So let's be honest, that's what we would say. Well, do you notice a running theme in those statements? My job, my joy, my family. I thought about it, and to me, kind of sounded like we thought we were like Johnny Gill's backup from the 90s, right? Got me singing, my. Now, I never said I was a singer, but, right? My. We always want to put the focus on my, mine, me, I, on self. And it's just a natural human thing. But whenever we get focused on self, we completely miss the point. And in John 10:10, it doesn't stand alone. John 10:10 is not just a scripture out in the middle of nowhere all by itself, right? It is wrapped around an entire passage. And it's actually in the middle of a scene where Jesus is actually rebuking the Pharisees and prophesying to his disciples of what was actually going to happen to him and to his disciples, and how Satan was going to use and had been using false teachers to deceive and mislead the people in an effort to steal followers from Christ and to dethrone God. We have to remember that we are in a spiritual battle in this life, right? The word tells us that it's not a battle of flesh and blood, but of spirit, right? So now, I'm not a sports person, but I did serve in the Army, right? So I understand that whenever someone's going to go into battle, or like they do in sports, you get ready for that big game. First thing you need to do is understand your opponent's goal, right? And we just watched the Super Bowl this weekend, and it was the goal for both teams to win that national championship, right? They wanted to have that title of champions of the world. And so they tried a lot of different ways to make plays, right? They had a playbook, and they come up with all these plays in order to get into the end zone so that they can score. And some of those plays worked and others didn't. And some were on the up and up and some weren't, and people got hurt. But they did them so that they could win that title and become the world champions, right? And in war, people are battling for control and for power. So we need to ask ourselves, what is Satan's objective? What is his goal? When we're talking about Satan came to steal, kill, and destroy, we talk about it like that is his goal. Like that's what he's out here to do. But it's not. Because just like the article points out, killing, stealing, destroying, those aren't goals. Those are tactics. Those are plays that Satan uses in order to accomplish his goal. He is battling for the power of God. He wants to be like God. Isaiah 14:13 and 14 and Matthew 4 and 9 make that clear. So look them up. Satan's not thinking about you. Truly. I think of it like this. In Satan's world, we are seriously only collateral damage. He would be perfectly fine, right? Letting us be happy and pleased and prospering, being all whole and healthy, if it meant that he was going to get what he wanted, which was our praise. You see, as long as we stay away from Jesus, as long as we ignore him and obey his word, we give praise and worship to Satan. We're in a spiritual battle. Satan's going to use tactics, just like any strong opponent would. And they're not going to always be horrific and painful ones. Satan sometimes uses the ideal of financial prosperity and wealth to distract us and get us caught up on selfish ambition. Or he may even use materialism and other things like greed to keep us trapped, to keep us from having that sacrificially giving heart and focusing on service to Christ. He may also even bring you that man or woman of your dreams to get you caught up in sex outside of marriage, so that now you start focusing more on pleasing that person in your life. You kind of put your religion to the side so you can focus on pleasing that person, and you forget that your actions are actually displeasing to God. You see, again, Satan really isn't after you. He was, and will always be after Jesus' kingdom and his lordship. He's playing in his Super Bowl, and his most powerful play is getting people to disobey God or ignore him. He might use tactics like stealing, killing, and destroying to tear up things in your life, but all of his focus is truly on defeating Jesus. And when we disobey God, the thing that challenged me the most is we are essentially obeying Satan. In the article, Tom asks, when trouble comes your way, how do you respond? Do you remember that there's a spiritual battle going on around you, or do you feel it's all about you? And I get it. I know that in the thick of it, when I'm faced with challenges on every side and I feel crushed in my spirit, all I can do is focus on the pain. But in the article, even Tom he points out that, and I quote, we have to refocus and recognize what Satan is attempting to do to Jesus through his attacks on us. Remember Job. Satan's attack was actually on God. Job was the instrument he used to try to tempt God and to ruin his reputation. Yet it failed. Our lives are not about us. Neither is our warfare. In all things, it is always about Jesus. Wow. Now that's a word. That challenged my heart. And I hope that it will challenge yours too. That no longer will you focus on what Satan has done, or thinking that the horrible, horrific things that are coming in your life are to tear you down and make you get off track of what you want to do in your life. But to focus on Jesus and to remember that we are fighting on his side. And this is about a spiritual war. We've got to hold the line, and we've got to stand firm behind Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. So that's my wow moment for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you back here same time, same channel. Bye-bye.